One day, the people of Quraysh asked Prophet Muhammad to answer some questions to test the authenticity of his prophethood.
Tell us about the mighty traveler who reached the confines of both East and West.
Prophet Muhammad answered it in Quran, Surah Al-Kahf, verse 83 to 102.
They will ask thee of Zulqarnain. Say, I shall recite unto you a remembrance of him. Lo, we made him strong in the land and gave him unto everything a road.
After he said the entire verses, the people of Quraysh did not believe in the authenticity of his answer. In Quran, Surah Al-An'am, verse 25, they said,
This is naught else than fables of the men of old.
So, according to the Quraysh, Muhammad's answer about the mighty traveler is nothing but a fable or a myth. Is that really true? How did they know about it? To find the answer, first, we have to know who is Tul-Qarnayn. For centuries, most Muslim historians and Quranic commentators endorsed the identity of Tul-Qarnayn as Alexander the Great, a king from Macedonia. For instance, Ibn Ishaq said in Sirat Rasul Allah, a man who used to purvey stories of the foreigners, which were handed down among them, told me that Tul-Qarnayn was an Egyptian whose name was Marzaban bin Mardaba, the Greek. Jalalain Tafsir also says that Tul-Qarnayn is Alexander the Great. And they the Jews question you concerning Tul-Qarnayn whose name was Alexander, he was not a prophet. The well-known Quran translator Abdullah Yusuf Ali had the same belief. Personally, I have not the least doubt that Zulqarnayn is meant to be Alexander the Great, the historic Alexander, and not the legendary Alexander. Alexander the Great conquered the eastern Mediterranean, Egypt, the Middle East, and parts of Asia in a remarkably short period of time. Many people admired him and wrote fables about him. Callisthenes of Olynthus, who was Alexander's court historian, wrote several manuscripts of novelistic biography of Alexander the Great in 334 BCE. His text was known as the Alexander Romance and it was spread throughout the Middle East since 4 CE, and translated in various languages such as Syriac, Hebrew, Persian, Arabic. The Syriac version of Alexander Romance was published in the early 6th CE, and had been widely known among the Middle Eastern societies in the 7th century CE, during Prophet Muhammad's era. Historian Ernest Wallace Budge translated the Syrian text in English, and the book is titled The History of Alexander the Great, being the Syriac version of the Pseudo-Callisthenes. From this book we learn that Surah Al-Kahf verse 83 to 102 was actually taken directly from the Syriac version of Alexander Romance. Let's see the striking similarities. 1. 2 horns. Coins depicting Alexander with ram horns on his head were first minted shortly after his death. By the 1st century BC, silver coins depicting Alexander with ram horns were used as the primary currency in Arabia. Imitation coins were used in the Arabian Peninsula for another 1,000 years. This connection of Alexander with 2 horns was widely known across the region at the time.
O God, Lord of kings and judges, thou who settest up kings and destroyest their power, I know in my mind that thou hast exalted me above all kings, and thou hast made me horns upon my head, wherewith I might thrust down the kingdoms of the world.
In Quran, Surah Al-Kahf, Tul-Qarnayn means the one with 2 horns. 2. Establish with power. At the beginning of the Syriac legend, Alexander says a prayer to God that he might be given power from heaven to rule over the kingdoms of the earth.
Give me power from thy holy heavens that I may receive strength greater than that of the kingdoms of the world, and that I may humble them, and I will magnify thy name, O Lord, forever.
The Quranic story, speaking from the perspective of Allah, says that he has given Alexander power on earth. 3. Journey to the Fetid Sea. The first journey of Alexander was the place near the setting of the sun, known as Oceanus, a mythical sea believed to encircle a flat earth. As to the thing, my Lord, which thy majesty or thy greatness desires to go and see, namely, upon what the heavens rest, and what surrounds the earth, the terrible seas which surround the world will not give thee a passage, because there are 11 bright seas. And beyond these there is about 10 miles of dry land, and beyond these 10 miles there is the fetid sea, Oceanus the ocean, which surrounds all creation. The Syriac legend mentions that the water is fetid, and the Syriac word is Saria, while Quran says the water is murky, and the Arab word is Hamiyeh. Both Saria and Hamiyeh are synonym. This similarity is mentioned in Sirat Rasul Allah, page 12, in which Ibn Ishaq quoted a poem that says the pool of mud and fetid slime. 4. Punishment of wrongdoers. The Syriac legend explains that Alexander asked for criminals to be sent to the shore of the fetid sea to test a rumor that anyone who approaches the sea dies. And Alexander and his troops encamped, and he sent and called to him the governor who was in the camp, and said to him,
Are there any men here guilty of death?
We have 37 men in bonds who are guilty of death.
Bring hither those evil doers.
And they brought them, and the king commanded them and said,
Go ye to the shore of the fetid sea, and hammer in stakes that ships may be tied thereto, and prepare everything needful for a force about to cross the sea.
And the men went, and came to the shore of the sea. Now Alexander thought within himself,
If it be true as they say, that everyone who comes near the fetid sea dies, it is better that these who are guilty of death should die.
And when they had gone, and had arrived at the shore of the sea, they died instantly. The Quranic story only gives the reader a cryptic speech by Tulkarnain where he says that whoever does wrong will be sent back to the Lord or killed, without telling the whole event. Not only is there a direct parallel between the stories, but the Syriac legend helps make sense of the short and cryptic Quranic version of the story. 5. Sun rises on people with no cover. After leaving the muddy water, Alexander met the people who live near the location where the sun enters the window of heaven, which rises above the flat earth, and they must seek cover, because the sun is much closer to the ground, and its rays burn the people and animals there. So the whole camp mounted, and Alexander and his troops went up between the fetid sea and the bright sea, to the place where the sun enters the window of heaven. For the sun is the servant of the Lord, and neither by night nor by day does he cease from his traveling. The place of his rising is over the sea, and the people who dwell there, when he is about to rise, flee away and hide themselves in the sea, that they be not burnt by his rays, and he passes through the midst of the heavens to the place where he enters the window of heaven. And wherever he passes there are terrible mountains, and those who dwell there have caves hollowed out in the rocks, and as soon as they see the sun passing over them, men and birds flee away from before him and hide in the caves. For rocks are rent by his blazing heat and fall down, and whether they be men or beasts, as soon as the stones touch them they are consumed. The Quran informs similar message, although provides no reason why people have no covering protection against the sun. 6. Gog and Magog spoil and ravage the land. The Syriac legend then states that Alexander meets with people who live near the mountain pass. These natives tell of a tribe, the Huns, who spoils and ravage the land and then return back to their lands on the other side of the mountain. The legend identifies the first two kings of this tribe as Gog and Magog, the exact same names used in the Quranic account. Alexander said,
This mountain is higher and more terrible than all the mountains which I have seen.
Yea, by your majesty, my lord the king, neither we nor our fathers have been able to march one step in it, and men